Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and man, I'm excited today. You say, why are you so excited? It's the Dog Pound. I'm visiting with my friends here. We've got Jennifer Briggs. Say hi, Briggs.
Hey, I always want to go.
I know, right? That's exactly what I feel like too.
The Dog Pound. You got it. Who let the dogs out? Well, I hate that, but anyway. And you talk about the YouTube divas back. Elise Kemphart. How you doing, kid?
I'm doing good. I'm not sweating profusely out here. It's actually, it's good.
You're a digital dealer in Tampa, Florida, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Patrick O'Brien.
Hello, Jim. Thanks again for having me. I wish I was in Florida also. But
used car mogul, yes. Highline used cars.
The used car mogul.
And then the master of disaster himself.
Max.
Mad Max Zanan. Hey, big guy.
Hey, Jim. I'm just taking a break from taking a break.
Taking a break from taking a break. Getting ready to get ready. And not last today, Bobbie Herron, the queen of BDC.
My names get better every week. This is fantastic. Max gets worse names, and I get better.
The master of disaster, the mad Russian, the commissioner of mayhem.
Oh, jeez.
Those Russians, they have commissioners, you know. Did you notice he sat up when I said that?
Very serious. Last week we were the emperor of mayhem, so it's increased.
Yeah.
Hey, but let's start off with a little conversation. At least I'll start with you. I understand the digital dealer's pretty well attended.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just for me too. It's like a shock for me because I think for a lot of us, it's been a hot minute since there's been just people in the same room together,
right?
Large masses. So
the last battle plan was September of 19.
Right. Bobbie and I were talking about that, and that was
we were in Atlanta.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there was a point where, at least for me, and you and I had even talked about this, Jim, where it was like I felt like I needed to go to every single conference, and I kind of got like a little tapped out on them. But now I think with just realizing through 2020 that, you know, so life is short. Essentially, it's really good to see a lot of people that I feel like it hasn't been so many like that long, but I think that's just because of online. Like you feel like, you know, we've stayed connected well, but seeing them face to face, you're like, oh wow, it's been like a couple years. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Well, I look at this crowd here. You guys are my posse.
We're having our own hangouts.
This is my posse. I'll tell you. Yeah, and you're down there too, aren't you, Bobbie?
I am. I'm gonna melt down here. Like everybody knows, I'm not a hot weather person. That's not my jam at all. And it's so high. Oh my God, forget about it. No, there's not. I would much rather have to put on layers of clothes to be at a comfortable temperature than take them off. Because in Florida right now, you could have nothing on and you're just melting. It's so hot.
Well, you ought to follow Max around. He goes to Siberia and all those Russian places. Right. You know?
Seriously, I'm like, Max is slipping. I mean, he hasn't popped by and been like, let's go to Portland, let's go to Russia, let's go to Scandinavia. Like
Alaska, right?
Alaska.
I mean, yeah, but we're not going anywhere hot, though. So I'm not your friend for that.
Okay, loosely today, we talk about F&I.
Yes.
You know, one of the F&I has been presented to be the villains of the dealership. I mean, you hear all the reports that F&I is destroying customer experience, and every vendor in the world wants to take a shot at F&I. But the truth of the matter is, F&I is still the very best profit center in the dealership.
Yeah.
Now, Max, you are an F&I vendor amongst other things. You're a published author, entrepreneur, but. What's your thoughts?
Listen, I don't think F&I destroys customer experience. I think it's a team effort.
to destroy it.
Everybody's involved. So. But listen, all kidding aside, part of the blame that they're getting is due to the fact that there's no educational barrier to F&I. There's no licensing. There's no college education requirement. There's no high school diploma requirement. And oftentimes we promote the wrong people. Just because you were a good salesperson doesn't mean you're going to be a good finance manager, because it's not just selling. It's compliance. It's understanding customer psychology. It's understanding lending. It's understanding how to read a credit bureau. It's a completely different set of skills.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe a finance manager needs a college education to do finance?
No, but I think you need a college education just to broaden your horizons.
Yeah. I did some of the biggest numbers in history, and I'm a high school graduate.
It's more the regulation.
Jim, let's be honest. You're not the rule. You're the exception.
Right. Okay. Well, and I don't think that the college education part might not be as applicable, but I think that it's crazy how many people now you walk into an F&I office, don't know how to read a credit bureau, interpret the data, and rehash a deal, because most of the places that you're sending somebody to and most of the trainings that are happening are menu sales and just selling instead of how
That is such a great point, Bobbie.
Yeah.
When I was an F&I director, and I used to call Equifax. Mm-hmm. And that was the bureau. That was our main bureau. There's 3 bureaus out there.
Right.
I would call Equifax, and any one of the bureaus will send a representative by your dealership, and she or he will bring the donuts and the coffee and give a complete class on how to read credit bureaus.
Yeah. But if they don't know to ask it, they don't even know to ask that. And on a lot of dealerships, and I'm not saying everybody or saying that not everybody knows how. I mean, I did finance for a long time, and that's how I learned how to read a bureau. But I had a really good mentor that taught me, and I got lucky because I walk into a lot of places now and they really don't know, rehash this. What do you mean rehash it? Well, see if you can get a different LTV. Call at the end of the month when the goal has changed. What do you have that books out at 120 that can carry 3,200? Oh, I don't know. And that disconnect, I think, can be problematic. It's not hard to learn.
Do you know there are codes you can put in after end of report that'll get you additional information on a credit bureau?
I don't think I did know that.
Yeah, there's RMDT. You can get, first of all, you can pull a lifetime credit bureau on somebody, even though all credit drops out of the bureau every 7 years, except court actions like bankruptcies, tax liens.
Right.
They stay for 10 years. So all information, good or bad, drops out every 10 years out of the credit bureau.
Right.
But believe it or not, if they are financing more than $50,000, you can get a lifetime credit bureau on them. You can go all the way back to when they.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. See, there's so many things about the bureaus people don't know. And $50,000 when they enacted that law was aimed at houses.
Right.
Now it's cars.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
I loved finance. Finance is still one of my favorite positions. I like the adrenaline high of selling an intangible and making a friend, and helping people that are in the office. But I think there is a big disconnect between sales and finance that does cause a bad experience for customers.
Well, Max has a great point. Max has a great point. There are people out there that want salespeople to basically do the presentation of F&I. And I'm of the opinion that there are some situations where that could work.
Yeah.
What I call executive salespeople.
Right.
But as Max is saying, everybody's not cut out for it. And then we got people wanting everybody in the dealership to do it. I don't believe that's possible. Patrick, what's your thoughts?
No, actually, and I like the executive sales idea, because I guarantee you could take anybody on this screen and they can work the deal start to finish. But again, it's an exception to the rule, not the standard. You know what I mean? Like going back into, knowing how to read the bureau. It's not just one bureau. You need to learn how to read all 3 bureaus, because all 3 bureaus read differently. Different lenders take different bureaus. And that's not something I think that every salesperson that's on the floor selling cars should be given the opportunity to do because they may not understand it.
We can't even trust them to read a lead. How are we going to trust them to read a bureau?
There you go. And not only that, and a lot of times, when you're reading the bureaus, there's things that sometimes if you're not 100% knowing what you're looking at, you may see something that you think is good that's not necessarily good, or something that's bad that's not necessarily bad. And it's not going to change unless you actually know what you're looking at and who to send it to.
Well, if you actually know your programs, though, you should be able to if you're a finance manager, you should be able to say, to you, this bureau is a 652 and this one is a 634. I need to be over 640. Most of your banks take trans in this area. Who will consider Experian with a request? And if you can't answer that question, then that's the part that needs to be learned first. I think the selling part is not the hard part. If you believe in a product, it's easy to sell.
Yes.
That's not a problem.
Well, and a lot of times, you see this, again, you guys would see it more going in different stores. If you look at a lot of it, how many finance managers are actually spending time at the desk to help the desk? I mean, seriously, most of your submissions and most of your bureaus are being read by a desk manager. Sometimes they've done finance, but a lot of them have not. And the ones that have not are basically going back to the conversations we've been having. They were trained by the person that got fired. And if that person wasn't really good or astute in what they were training that new person, then you have the exact same thing happening to the new person as was happening to the person that got fired.
Now, Max, you are a F&I product vendor. You're a reinsurance agent. What training do you think is necessary? What do we need to do?
Well, I think we have to start off by saying that there's really no training to begin with. Forget the credit bureau. That's like nuclear physics. Yeah, there's no training, guys. I mean, let's be honest. You promote a salesperson or a sales manager, and you say your office is this way. Best of luck.
Call your
right? Joe will show you how to print. That's the training.
I'll show you how to print.
Right, and I personally went through this training. So the real issue is that we need to have formal training. And the reason I brought up college education is very simple. A lot of finance managers make anywhere between $200,000 and $500,000 a year, right? A CPA who can barely make 70 has to go through continuing credit, education credits. An attorney has to go through continuing education credit. A doctor, right? But a finance manager has zero educational requirement, right? It's not required by the dealership. It's not required by the dealer association. It's not required by the state. It's not required by anybody, right? So what we have is a bunch of people winging it, right? And the best they do is, I went to JM&A school. Right. All right, great. They taught you how to sell JM&A products.
Right.
But I did go to the JM&A school. It was like 17 years ago, right? And I never went back. So unless we get real and say, guys, we need to plug in some educational requirements here. Because the amount.
What about AFib? What about
Okay, AFib, great. AFib is a phenomenal program, right? It's not required by anybody. It is $1,000, right? That nobody is willing to pay voluntarily.
And Max, that's just for the beginner course too, right? There's the master. Correct. The master course goes up from there.
There's 3 levels. So every time you got to pay $1,000.
Yeah.
But the problem with AFib is that it's not required. I wish it was required. And then, because listen, AFib is a great program. It addresses state laws where you work. It addresses federal laws, and it addresses ethics, right? And
ethics is the big question today. Ethics and state laws and federal laws. Right now, President Biden has jumped up and said, hey, we're going to reinstitute investigating and prosecuting finance. I mean, they've got people out there in the task force right now. And they started putting people in jail. I personally don't want to be the bride of Big Bubba.
I don't know about jail, but I think it's low hanging fruit for them, right? I mean, you look into a dealership, you look at any folder, right, and it's a crime scene.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So for them to find a dealer, it really is, like I said, it's a low-hanging fruit, and most dealers, unfortunately, don't have a compliance program in place. They don't have a written program for training in place. They really are collectively winging it.
I think the amount of risk from an overall operations standpoint, I mean, I get it if you're a single point, but to not have a compliance program of some sort. And I've started at some larger groups, and it's been like, okay, well, where's this, where's that, where are we, and they have nothing. But when you look at from a pure risk mitigation standpoint, to not either have somebody trained in those compliance standards to make sure you're there, or a director, of some point you're just putting the dealership at so much risk. I know I've worked with a compliance director before, and during some construction, she and I had to bunk up in offices for a bit, but she started her day at the dealership at 7 a.m. because she went around looking for those crime scenes. Yeah. Who left the stuff out? Is everything locked up? Is it secure? Do we have things? If an auditor were to walk in this moment in time, how much would we be fined? And then internally, you got a warning. And if it happened again, the store got fined internally. We took that upon ourselves as a group to make sure. But then again, also, every single one of my stores had to put out their first pencil the same way at the desk, even before it got to finance for compliance purposes.
Right. Elise, how much F&I have you done?
Oh, this is really interesting to me because I've done very to little to none. So my office, when I sold cars ago, but we're backtracking 7+ years ago, was right by the finance office. So I always got to hear the conversations and so forth. There was a time when I was going to cross train into it, and then it never happened. And I've wondered before, you're talking about like, who to put into finance. And the core quality I feel like for finance specifically, because it is a skill set, and I look at those skill sets like being sharp on your feet, right? The ability obviously to have like a salesperson on steroids, right? What makes salespeople so good sometimes is their ability to communicate face to face, because you have to be on, like, your objections are like face to face and on the fly right there. In the office, right? So there's that, but there's also like the OCD part about it, right? Where everything needs to kind of be meticulous. It's kind of a big deal when it comes to all the paperwork.
You try programming a laser form for finance.
Finding somebody like the quality of like who has, the skill set really should be who has whatever we've given them, they've turned to gold. Who has the personality type to where maybe it's not their jam, but you get them to latch onto it, and it's like, oh fuck no, like there's no going back, right? Like they're gonna figure. Because I've never done anything other than the shadowing of a finance. I think it'd be interesting to analyze.
It is the most precision close, the highest precision closer in the dealership. You have to close with a stopwatch running.
You have to close here. Everybody on the sales floor is like, look at this shiny, pretty car. Look at how great this is.
Right.
And we're like, want to not die and have your car be covered if you do? How do you feel about credit life?
Yes, right. But anyway, right now what we're dealing with is digital retail. And digital retail, and there's a lot of misconceptions and mistruths out there. I mean, untruths. People aren't buying it online. I mean, and there's some fools that think they're going to watch a video and all of a sudden buy a $2,500 service contract. Ain't going to happen. No. Matter of fact, consumers statistically resent the videos, even live in the dealership. When they force the people to watch the video, the consumers resent that.
It's because they're boring and they're stupid.
They are boring and stupid.
They are.
If they looked like TikTok videos, we'd all watch them.
Yeah. No, they really are. They're terrible.
It's 9.5 minutes of like grandma and grandpa in Florida somewhere at the dealership. Like, let me show you how this works. Why do you need this? Like,
what? I spoke at the Dealer Socket conference 2-3 years ago when they were having the big conferences, out in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I just sat on a bar stool and let the F&I managers fire objections at me.
Yeah, it's fun to teach it that
objections. Let the master show you how it's done, little grasshopper. You know.
I recently did an F&I manager school with the master, and seeing how that was done was amazing.
Yes.
So, did you like it?
I did. Well, that was one. I think Elise mentioned the last Internet Battle Plan, but that was September. I was planning on attending the Samurai F&I training that you had scheduled for that November that got canceled. And so I was so happy to be able to pick that back up online and do that with you virtually, because that's something I had been waiting my whole career to see, was the master in work in that training. And it was phenomenal.
It was. You know what? I've been through, Jim, I've been through the F&I Samurai training, the last one you did here in Atlanta back in 2018, I think. And it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. You had just rewritten your book too.
I just rewrote it again.
That surprised me.
If anybody wants to buy my F&I master text, download ZieglerAutofinance.com.
See, but the nice part, Jim, is after they buy the book, they can go to Alpha Dawg on demand and watch the training and follow along with the book.
I've got my complete F&I school. I didn't schedule this to plug my F&I school, but
sorry, I just enjoyed it so much I brought it up.
Since you did,
here we are.
Yeah, at Ziegler on Demand or Alpha Dawg on Demand, either one will get you there. Ziegler on Demand, my complete F&I school is online for free.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that wants to see, and I've got legal compliance, and it goes in depth. It talks about how to get deals approved, because when I was setting records in F&I wasn't setting records because I was so good at laying people away. Mm-hmm. I was so good at getting them bought.
Yep.
My talent was always getting the deals approved.
Hello, that was my favorite part too, is like the communication part of it. Hi, John. The communication part of it is huge. I mean, that's a quality that we teach now in all kinds of things, but we had to have that. The relationship with my buyer meant everything. Yep. The relationship with the sales desk meant everything. But as a finance manager, I was very young when I started finance. I was 21 years old. I didn't want the job. I tried to turn it down like 4 times, and they were like, no, you'll be great at this. And it was for Sonic Automotive for years and years. And I loved it. It was still my favorite position to have an adrenaline high from. I loved that position. But there's no way I was tolerating the sales manager at the desk. And I didn't care that he had 25 years on me, pulling up credit applications and looking at credit bureaus and then making decisions on where like deals were going to land. That wasn't how we did it. We had to collaborate. And a lot of places that I walk in, they're like, well, the sales manager decides that. Like, how in the F are you holding a finance director accountable for a KPI if they're not in control of the relationship or where the deal is going? If your sales manager wants to be a finance manager, he should be a finance manager.
We don't know how to interview the consumers.
No. And listen, do they really even decide, or do they just shotgun them through Route 1 or Dealer Track? They don't decide.
And when they get turned down through Route 1 or Dealer Track, who calls the department head?
Well,
who calls the department head of the lender?
I'm telling you, there was a hot minute where I had Wells Fargo as my favorite bank for so long. I might be the reason they tanked in 2009 from the deals I did. We did so much business with them because our relationship was so good with the rep that nobody else in the store called. And then the other finance manager that worked with me, if she had the relationship with the rep, she called on the rehash. It was whoever had it. Can't be risking having a salesperson or a sales manager piss off your relationship person.
Right.
That's bad. But at the same time, like I have an indie store that, hey, Shaka.
What's up, Shaka?
I have an indie store that has all their salespeople are hybrids with finance, but they taught them that way from the beginning, and that dealership is always run that way. And it actually works really, really good. But none of those people know any other way because they've only been at that dealership. That's it. And it's an indie, and they kill it, and they do great. I don't think that could happen everywhere.
I do not want a sales manager calling the lender. And I know a lot of dealerships have that. I train finance managers. I train finance directors. I want somebody that with authority, with a real reason to get the deal bought, not just because I gave you a bunch of other deals.
Right.
Right.
Right. And not to say a person couldn't do that. It's the exception, not the rule. Not that there aren't sales managers out there who are fully qualified and work as a team with their finance department. But I also think it's insane that finance managers don't attend sales meetings, and sales meetings don't happen with finance managers because it's one team. And I think that separation causes the problem with the customer experience.
Well, and I've even seen stores not include the finance manager in the sales manager's meeting, not just the sales meeting. Like, how the heck do you do a save a deal without a finance manager?
I guess I know, because I have 500 reference points for how this went wrong, even though it doesn't apply to this one. Same way they always do it, right?
Most deals that are blown up.
You're getting bought. Makes me crazy.
Yeah, Patrick. Yeah, most deals that are blown up because of
Bad
inappropriate behavior of a sales department.
Absolutely.
The F&I department doesn't do most of the legal problems in the dealership.
And most of the time, and again, not that this happens often, but when a deal blows out of finance, I mean, again, like Jim and I, you make the joke about this all the time, but when a deal blows out of finance, it's usually because the expectations were set improperly when they were going into finance, and the finance manager could not figure out how to unscramble what they scrambled at the desk.
Okay.
Because they committed something.
That they couldn't do.
That's not typically a thing. And Anthony said, "How come I said how the F?" I don't say the F word on Jim's shows because he has one of the few men I respect enough to listen to.
Anyway,
but I think, Jim, to your point right there. So when I was first trained on the sales floor, we did ethos training, and I was specifically taught to separate myself as a salesperson for the fun part. Like, I've got the easy job. I just have to help you find the right car. Those people over there are going to make sure it fits your budget, right? They're going to handle all the numbers. So we've already created this separation in the consumer's mind.
But I agree with that. I agree with that.
So, but if they're not taken,
I don't want the people to believe I'm one of them.
Well,
Nope.
I'm talking about creating that separation. I don't want a salesperson talking about finance either, but to say we're going to do all the fun stuff up front, I feel like it's creating an uphill battle for the finance office.
That pisses me off. But yeah, no, I always introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jim Ziegler, and we're gonna review this with my associates at the bank.
Yep.
And I'm going to approve your deal, but I still have to review it with my associates, and they afford credit, and they still could turn this down.
Right.
I am not the final decision.
And
Jim,
I love that part from the training, but I think we're missing it in the road to the sale. We're not getting finance TOs so that you have the chance to do that as a finance manager or director. I mean, in general, how many stores, when you get in there and you look first at their road to the sale, do you have to inject that point?
A lot, but it's crazy because it's always been like that. For as long as I've been in automotive, since I was 17 years old, and I'm turning 40 this year, for as long as I've been in automotive, it has been an uphill battle as a finance director, finance manager, and a sales manager to get the cooperation of an early TO, which is silly. Because if there's always this fear that somebody's going to say something or do something that's going to infect the process instead of transferring the rapport the way that it's supposed to. And so we're always having to tell the clients this now. Again, what happened? Well, we used to do it, but what? I don't know. Oh, that's dumb. Let's try that again then. There's a reason for it. But every time.
And like, all right, so for instance, I love at our main store here, our finance managers, unless they are spinning a deal or rehashing something with the bank, they sit up at the sales tower. They don't sit and hide in their office. If it's not something finance related, they are up at the sales tower with the sales manager, with the general sales manager, working deals with customers and with salespeople. When they get a file, then they go back to their office. My office is in the finance line office on the end, and not a single one of them are sitting at their office right now. They're at the tower.
Well, you know what?
At the sales tower.
Let me say that again, Patrick.
Not a single finance manager at our dealership is sitting in their office right now. They are all sitting at the sales tower working deals with the salespeople and the sales managers. When they get a file, that's when they go back to their office.
Which is not a common thing that happens. And I don't think it's because the finance manager doesn't want to be involved in something. It's because the sales tower isn't like, yo, let's hang out.
Right.
It's so rare to see that happen.
Yeah. No, and that's something that our group does. We're adamant about that. You know, the finance managers that we have are really good at what they do, and the owners want to make sure that the best person that does that job is involved in that process. So that's our finance managers move around. Like Jim says, managers should always be in motion. Our finance managers are the same as our sales managers, moving around, taking floor TOs. Like we have a manager will come out if let's say it's a primary customer, they want to talk rate and our credit union. Our finance director will come out, sit with them for 30 minutes and discuss that with them to try and switch them over to us instead of having the salesperson try and do it.
I think it's the opinion. It's the brother sister thing, right? It's like like if you have a sibling, like you won't let them use your charger, but you'll give them a kidney. It's the same thing with sales manager. It's so competitive, and it's like, guys, you need to play nice together. Like this isn't a thing. I believe that a finance manager, a sales manager, a closer, if you have one, and a BDC director should all be sitting their asses at the sales tower together, unless they're doing something else, because their whole job is to make a deal.
Yep.
And help put something together and put a dream in a driveway. They're all common goal.
Why not have the best set of eyes you have in the dealership looking at the deal you're trying to get done? Why not have that?
I'll tell you why, Patrick.
Okay,
I'll tell you why.
Max is coming out. Okay,
here we go. Come on, Max.
Here comes Max.
I'm passionate about it, Max.
So guys, you know, like every week, I'm gonna, spray some reality on you.
We
my God.
Disclaimers.
Right?
We're so naive.
Finance managers are prima donnas, right? That don't want to come out to the desk. That's number one.
I totally
Desk
disagree.
managers are not interested in finance guys coming out to the desk because sales managers will be discovered as completely useless.
So it's not
Okay,
that.
wait, Bobbie. He just made a statement. Sales managers are completely useless. Now that was Max Zanan, the company, guys.
Most of them cannot structure a deal. Most of them cannot do anything that a finance manager can do.
So what Max is saying, let me make sure I hear you right. In regard to the finance part of the process, do you think sales managers are useless, or do you think they're all useless anyways?
No, in regards to structuring a deal,
right.
They don't have the skill set.
I don't want the whole audience to think, like, oh, that Russian, because I hear what you're saying, but I wanted to make sure we were on the same page. It's a totally different setup, but I think the reason that a lot of finance managers might act like prima donnas in an office is because they don't feel wanted out on the floor, and their pay plan doesn't stipulate for them to be motivated to do it. It's all based on what's happening internally in the office. So if you only got to roll 3 deals a day, then you can watch like TikTok and shit the rest of the day, right? And
right. At the end of the day, it does come down to leadership, right? And whether it's the owner or the general manager, somebody has to make an internal business rule. And like Patrick said at his dealership, right? Yeah. Finance managers must be present at the tower unless they're with a customer or rehashing a deal with the bank. Unless this rule exists and it exists on paper, right? Then, we're not violating anything if we don't go to the desk, right?
So Max, Dave Sobolski has just asked you to define structure
sales managers.
If we say finance managers are useless, he's jumping on. So let's collectively agree whether we do or not, so he does it.
Okay. Well, while
finance managers are useless, we should just bounce them. Gone.
Right.
While Shaka is jumping on, we've got a question. Dave, Max, Dave wants you to define structure. When you say they don't know how to structure a deal,
meaning structuring a deal that can be submitted to the bank and follow the guidelines, right? In terms of down payment, monthly payment, debt to income, right? These are the things that sales managers in most cases are not equipped to do. And that's why a lot of times they would put a person on a wrong car. Right? So that's what I mean by structure. You have to be able to structure a deal that it's viable by the bank. And that's what Jim is talking about, getting the deals done.
Right. I mean, and look,
getting the deals done was always my best. But
Jim, would you agree that to get the deal done, it has to be properly structured?
It has to be structured. I'd have to interview the consumers. I don't see F&I managers going out and interviewing the consumers. Right. We are so quick to throw a deal in Route 1 or Dealer Track, and before we've had a chance to work on it. I can boost a customer's credit score 50 or 60 points. Now, Jennifer, you were in the class where I was talking about how to do that. many times I can boost 50 or 60 points. Now, Asperian has started doing it recently with things that I've been teaching for years, like using their rent to own, where they rent to own their furniture. I make credit out of that. Their buy here, pay here lot, I can get that in the credit bureau. Yep. I can put additional credit in their credit bureau within 12 hours.
I've actually used the buy here, pay here one before to get it put on someone's bureau that I learned from you, Jim.
Jim, I just noticed I can see the link you're trying to send to Shaka, but it's not in the comments on the Facebook stream, which is where Shaka is commenting from. So I don't know if he can find it. I just wanted to mention that.
I can't send it to him that way.
Okay. You know what I can do?
What?
Well,
message it to him.
I was going to say, I'll message it from our message, Jim.
Okay. Have at it.
David says, just want to make sure structure doesn't mean shoving product down their throats without their knowledge. Agreed. And that's packing, which is illegal.
That's illegal.
And it's a compliance issue for sure. That has to be cautioned with.
But again, I think it comes down to leadership, right?
You said that, Sabalski?
Yeah.
Sabalski.
At the end of the day, right, the leadership, whether it's the GM or the owner, decides, whether you're going to do payment packing or not. Right? Because let's be honest, there are stores that do it, not because you have a rogue desk manager or a rogue finance manager. The whole dealership is set up to do it that way.
Yep.
The dealership said their defaults in their computer are set up that way.
Correct.
I mean, come on. I mean, you don't need to lie, cheat. You don't need to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, misrepresent to sell finance.
Nope.
No.
Oh my God! You wouldn't believe who just showed up.
Yeah.
There he is.
It's Shaka Dyson himself.
Guest star.
There he is.
Lie, cheat, sneak, deceive.
Welcome to our crew, Shaka.
What's up, champions?
What's up,
Turn
buddy?
the speakers down to
Hang on,
watching the show.
yeah, hang on.
The show's on a delay.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Ladies
What's up,
and
champions?
gentlemen,
What's up, Shaka?
your superstar here, Shaka Dyson.
You guys are like killing the game over here in the F&I discussion, man. I'm just sitting back as a fan and watching it, man, and just typing away like my boys. I see Patrick over there getting all fired up when he's like, man, they're at the sales shower right now. I'm like, go ahead, Pat.
They are.
So what's up with you guys?
Well, we're talking about you. I called you earlier to be on the show, and it was a little short notice. You and I got to stick together. We have similar hairstyles.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Right. So I was actually I've been on coaching calls all day, right? And so part of my company, part of my business is I work with dealers from all over the country every single week. And what I do is I train the dealers, meaning the owners, COOs, and the general managers from all the stores that I work with every week training. And I do that every Tuesday. And then every Wednesday, I train all of their F&I teams. So all morning long, and Jim, when you called me, I was actually on the other line training, doing a coaching call with the GM. So I do that every single week as part of one of my companies, man. And so I've been on the phone, I've been doing coaching calls all day and Zoom coaching and training all day with like 30 dealers. So
we're glad you joined us.
Yeah, we're glad you had a break and could jump on.
Shaka, jump in and just kind of give us, kind of as an elevator view of what we've been talking about so far from your perspective.
Yeah, so I heard some of what you guys were talking about. Unfortunately, I didn't catch the whole thing. And, when Jim calls, I typically won't interrupt a coaching call or training with the GM. But, when Ziegler calls, it's like, hello, what's up, man?
Hey, Jim, hold on.
Hey, Jim, I can't talk right now. But, dude, I just wanted to click over and say what's up to you.
Yeah, I had to make sure I answered.
We were walking out of the conference to get on the call, and somebody said, where are you going? Like, it just started. I'm like, I'm on a Jim. They're like, you scheduled a show during Digital Dealer? No, Jim did. And I'll be on it. I'll be on.
Yeah. No, Jim did.
Yeah, so in reference to what you guys are talking about, man, I haven't heard anything that was off the cuff. I heard when my man Max said they're prima donnas, and I said, wait a minute. But then I saw what he was getting at, right? So he doesn't want, sales managers don't want to get exposed.
He was
for what
talking about you specifically.
Yeah, maybe.
We're working on it, Shaka. He's an instigator,
Yeah, he is.
Maybe. I don't know who Max is. That's just for clarification. I don't know who he is. But as far as what you guys have been saying, you guys are spot on target. F&I managers should be out on the floor, should be taking TOs. The one thing I will tell you, though, is no desk controls an F&I office. No desk controls F&I managers in all the stores that I work with across the country. Not one desk can tell not one F&I manager, hey, don't come up here. Hey, don't go out on the showroom floor and TO customers. Hey, don't go out there.
That, though?
Don't go out there and talk to customers. Not one, right? The desk is not the boss of me type deal.
Right.
It's just that finance managers don't take the initiative. So what happens is the desk starts giving directives on a constant basis. Hey, can you go take this deal? Hey, can you talk to this person? Or maybe they don't give a directive. Maybe they say, hey, here's the deal. Go ahead and take it back there to Max, the finance manager. Right. And so what I teach finance managers to do is to get up and go. Just get up and go. You don't need people's permission to go out here and interject yourself in the sales process. What you need to do is go and interject yourself early and often and constantly, right? Yep. And make yourself part of the sales process. So automatically, when the desk is desking deals, penciling numbers, whatever the case may be, they automatically think, okay, let me get Max involved. Okay, let me get Jennifer involved. Okay, let me get Bobbie involved. Let me get Shaka involved, right?
Do you want to know, Shaka, how early of a TO I give my finance managers and directors? Mm-hmm. When I'm configuring the desking software, I don't go to the desk. Yep. I get the finance manager involved. Yep. They're the ones that I'm working with when we're configuring that software because of the scenario that you're talking about right now is because they're not in, whether it's a fear or it's a culture, not getting up and getting involved. So from the get-go, when I start training on desking and reconfiguring desking software, the finance manager is right there. That's how early of a TO, before we even produce a pencil, I want them involved.
But until somebody like this is involved, until we're doing desking software, or Shaka's coming in, how many stores do you see, and we see this all the time, where the finance manager doesn't actually know that they can? It's not that they can't. They're new. They've never worked another store. That's what they've always seen. They actually think they can. And then because they think they can't, they don't fight against it to be able to go up and do it. I mean, there was no chance when I was doing finance that I wasn't walking out and taking a TO, whether somebody wanted me to or not. But I also learned early on to take care of my salespeople so that they would take care of me. And so the relationship with the sales staff as a finance manager and director was important going both ways. We tell new salespeople now when we train in stores, your porter, your finance manager, and your office manager, they're going to be busy. Take them lunch. Be kind. Care. You need those relationships developed so your stuff is fast, efficient, and without problems. We don't even hear that very often anymore. I've seen a lot of really great finance managers that sit in their office until they have a deal to do and nobody comes and gets them for anything. And they've given up on trying to go out and battle something. And then they're just chilling there, not running great numbers and not getting TOs on everything.
I got a question I want to ask Shaka.
Yeah.
Hey, Shaka.
Oh, we can't hear you now.
He muted himself.
Where's your, no, get,
yeah.
Okay,
We got
hey, Shaka.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of talk recently about A to Z, where salespeople are selling finance, they're doing the whole deal. Now, I agree that can work in a Porsche store, that might work in a Mercedes store, it might work in a Lexus environment. But is that going to be something that's going to be happening?
I highly doubt it as a standard. Anything can work, all depending on what you're willing to accept, right? Mm-hmm. So what that means is, sure, I mean, you can have salespeople out at a desk or any one person that sells a car and does paperwork that's related to F&I, true enough, you can absolutely do that and call that A to Z. Or you can have you a bona fide, bulletproof, real robust F&I department that's there to do what F&I does, and that's protect customers. That's to do all the financing and banking paperwork, and also to produce revenue for the dealership, right? And protect the dealership. So you can have that F&I department. Now, you will never have that robust F&I department and a robust salesperson doing all the same thing. You're just not going to have it.
Not going to happen.
It's way two different things.
Well, you're telling me that your 30-car salesperson is going to do the same job as 6-car Fred. 6-car Fred's not going to be. Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, as a customer, there's no way I want my salesperson messing around with my credit.
Nope.
Maybe that's just me, but like, I like my salespeople for a different kind of reason than I like my banker, right? Those are different.
Right.
Those are different. One is going to be a good time, and one is going to help me protect an asset. I can't believe that credit, life, and disability sales didn't skyrocket through the last year. I think that if you were a finance person this year and your credit, life, and disability didn't go to like 1,000% during a pandemic,
very few dealers are selling credit.
I was going to say,
I don't know of any. I don't know.
We don't even offer it. I haven't heard of it in 5 years, 6 years.
That's a really common product in the Michigan market. But because you guys have been doing so much F&I lately.
Common in Michigan, it's common in Louisiana. There's certain states where credit insurance is still pretty common. For the most part, credit insurance is a dead product in most states.
I think
we don't do it here in Georgia.
I think it's because, and I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I really don't know the answer to this. I think it's because people didn't know how to sell it properly, and then dealerships stopped selling it and then stopped training on it. But why wouldn't you have credit, life, and disability, especially if you've got a slim call from the bank and you've got a product coming? I always loved that product, unless there's some ruling that came out that I don't know of, which again, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why you wouldn't have the option to sell that available.
Well, like in New York, is not.
Chaka says yes. Did that come out?
It's not profitable at all, and so there's a lot of credit, life, and disability. I stopped teaching it in my F&I schools.
See, I'm thinking we just went through a pandemic.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you sell credit, life, and disability? And
First of all,
we use it a lot of dealerships up here.
I can tell you, I can tell you a couple of reasons. So
help me.
When I ran the finance department for all those stores at the Napleton Group, right? That's the one thing that I got Ed to remove out of all of his stores is the credit, life, and dis. Let me explain to you why. First of all, there's so many products to sell back in finance, right? That credit, life, and disability will end up being your 9th, your 10th, your 11th product, right? So it's way too many products, number one, to sell back in finance. Number two, the credit, life, and disability reps can't even sell their own product. What I mean by that is I would have this credit, life, and disability rep, man. I had 18 stores in Illinois, okay?
Right.
And I would have this credit, life, and disability rep follow me around to these different stores. He'd catch me at my stores, south side of Chicago, on the west, wherever I may be. And hey, you guys aren't selling enough credit, life, and dis. You guys are not selling enough credit, life, and dis. So what I said to him is I said, hey, man, look, I agree with you 100%. They're not selling enough credit, life, and dis. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I agree we need to change this. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to allow you to go in and take a TO with any one of my finance managers when they have a customer. I'm going to allow you to walk into their office. I'm going to tell them you're going to come in their office. You're going to sit down and you're going to sell your own product. I said, that's what I'm going to do for you every time you come into one of my stores, okay? Anytime you want to do it so that we can start selling this product for you.
You're shutting it down.
Guess how many times he did that?
I don't know his skill level, but I'm going to assume it's 0 or you wouldn't be telling me the story.
Not a one.
There are pictures on my Facebook page of consumers doing push-ups to qualify for credit life.
I remember
So the bottom line is this: there's just way too many products that are valid in protecting the customer's financing, protecting the customer's vehicle, mechanics on a vehicle. There's so many things that apply back in finance, and credit, life, and dis is really an outdated one because it was the very first product offered.
And I agree with that.
I think that credit, life, and disability is the easiest sale ever when you sell a car to somebody whose parent or friend is co-signing for them. Like
that's pretty outdated, though. It's not going to happen.
What's your favorite product? What's everybody's favorite finance product? Chaka, what's yours?
Oh, without question, service contract for sure.
Right.
It's got to be
Gap.
Everybody else's.
Gap to me has the highest amount of payout per claim. the Gap claims nationwide are averaging more than $7,500.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Most people are ill prepared to fork out, and now we're selling cars for $5,000 over sticker. What are those gaps?
Right.
150, baby, 150.
Gap in it.
Right now we're selling cars for such high premiums above window sticker because of the chip shortage. Mm-hmm. The Gap is the most important product because most people, it's a catastrophic event. If a service contract's going to pay you $800, Gap's going to pay you $7,500.
It's so inexpensive too. Gap is just such an easy asset to apply, but a lot of the lease companies already have Gap included on it, right?
They do.
We actually have
one of our wheel in Indiana too.
I was going to say one of our biggest things is we actually have a wheel, tire, PDR, and key bundle that we sell. Obviously, because it's Highline and exotic cars, these keys are expensive. Yeah. These wheels, if you run a pothole in Atlanta with these Rolls Royce wheels, you can't just bring it to the wheel guy and let him fix it. You got to go get another wheel. You know what I mean? So we have a bundle pack that we do great penetration on, 65% on that alone.
Max, what kind of products are you repping right now? Shaka, Max is an entrepreneur. He's a vendor. He's a rep. He's a reinsurance guy. He's
Russian,
an author.
He's a
published author. Russian spy. I don't know.
I was going to say it, but I thought we were keeping him clear. It's like CIA stuff.
Right.
Max
is a sleeper cell.
So listen, I think the reason most finance managers don't sell credit life is because the commissions are limited by the state.
Right.
Right. You cannot just mark it up the way you mark up a VC. So to answer your last question, the vehicle service contract should be your favorite product because you can make the most money selling it. That's number one. Right. Number two, as a dealer principal, you can really build wealth by reinsuring service contracts.
Right.
You cannot build wealth by reinsuring tire and wheel. I promise you that. And Patrick just told you why. Right, so
they're one of the higher claims. They're one of the highest claims paid. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I need that package. Let's talk about this later.
Right. So I think the most training should be spent on product knowledge when it comes to VSC. Finance managers should know exactly what the VSC covers and how it can be used. And every dealer principal should consider reinsurance because it's an amazing way to build wealth outside of your dealership. It's a totally separate asset. And you can think of it as a 401k, right. or your retirement plan.
If a dealer has questions on reinsurance, how do they call you?
They would call me 917-903-0312.
Say that one more time.
Can you the comments, please?
Well, let Max get a plug in here.
There you go, Max.
917-903-0312.
Okay, you put that on the sidebar. Okay, very good. 917-903-0312, if I memorized it correctly.
Yes, sir.
Wow, Jim.
I put in the comments for folks too. So.
Need bail money. Max is your guy. Everybody got his number.
Right.
Okay, well, for years, I was the voice of Ford ESP service contracts. I was on every one of their training videos, and Ford Parts and Service Division hired me to go around the country teaching the Ford branded F&I school. So I had a lot of service contract, and most people don't know how to sell a service contract. Right. When I interview a finance manager, I'm going to get to Shaka back on this in a second. When I interview a finance manager, give me 5 reasons why somebody would purchase an extended service agreement, parts and labor agreement. And well, it gives you peace of mind. And did I already say peace of mind? Yeah, you did. Okay, yeah. They really don't know how to sell it.
Man, right? The manufacturer has spent billions of dollars to assess the exact right moment that the service contract that you currently have is going to not cover the wear and tear on the parts that you have. That's so frustrating because you would see, Shaka, you probably see this all the time, right? Like, how much time do you have to spend training somebody on how to sell a service contract on a new car that already has a warranty on it? Because I hear finance managers all the time go, but it's already got a warranty. wait a minute, let's dig into this here. Let's look at the pricing. Let's look at all this. But that's a struggle.
Well, we get into objections, Bobbie. There are things other than that are not covered on the factory warranty that are covered on most service contracts. Wear and tear, consequential damage, all sorts of things.
Right.
Plus the rental car, the trip interruption, you can go on and on and on. Shaka, what's your thoughts?
Basic limited coverage warranty. It says it right there.
Exactly. Shaka?
Yeah. So the reason why they're pretty average at selling service contracts is that's been the track record. That's what they've been taught for so long.
Yeah.
Right? The training is so outdated. The same training that they were doing in 90 or 95, you'll find in many F&I schools today, right?
Yep.
And so that's why they're average at selling service contracts. They need to be modern. This is 2021. They need to be 2025 and selling service contracts. They need to know how to sell service contracts or things that are new, modern, improved, that are Tesla-like, right? And so they have to have the ability to sell it. Not only sell it, they have to know the service contract, have the super ability to sell it, and then they have to have the super ability to close it, right? Because there was just three things that you were taught your entire life growing up, right? You were taught to make sure you cut off the lights whenever you leave a room. You were taught to make sure you clean your plate when you're down at the dinner table, because there's not everybody in the world has stuff to eat. And when you get grown, make sure you never buy the extended warranty, right? And so therefore you have to have a next level ability to sell that service contract, because when a customer pulls up in front of the dealership, the thing that's vibrating in their mind is I'm not spending any money on the extended warranty. I don't want your extended coverage. They want the car. That's why they showed up. That's why they called the store. That's why they set an appointment. That's why they showed up to the store. That's why they meted and greeted Patrick, right? And went and worked with Paul to purchase the car and work numbers. The one department that they don't want to work with is the finance department, because all they believe that we're going to do is once they close at $550 a month out on the showroom floor with $2,000 down, soon as the salesperson says, hey, all right, I have your deal right here, I'm about to go give it to my finance
They're
manager.
like, oh boy, here we go again.
She's going to come out with the deal. I mean, she's going to come out and speak to you here in just a second. The moment that salesperson gets up and walks to the finance manager, Bobbie's office, that customer automatically believes that my payment's about to go up. Yeah. And they believe it's about to go up because I'm about to try to sell them some stuff, right? And then what we do, soon as the customer gets back to the finance office, we whip out the same old thing that they saw the last 8 times they were purchasing a vehicle.
And we show them a video.
And so the problem is that the training and the schools is so outdated, and that's why they don't know how to sell service contracts. The good news for me is that the schools are so outdated. All these people are coming to me to learn the new and modern.
Let me ask Elise here. Elise, how much of this is relevant for you, kid?
Well, I'm analyzing it just from obviously the way that my brain goes. I'm so focused typically in BDC and internet sales and conversion from when it pops into the CRM to getting into the appointment. But I'm breaking it down in the sense of, what Shaka's saying basically is like probability as an F&I, you got like the hot seat right off the bat because they've been trained from the beginning of time to like never buy an extended warranty. So one of the questions was, what would your favorite product be to sell? I'm looking at it like, what would, as far as a true skill set, right? The ability, I'm going to look at F&I as a really strong point in psychology and probability. Meaning if I almost want to take something that's quote that maybe I'm not passionate about, or maybe it's difficult for me to sell, but I want to focus on the skill set of, even though I'm not passionate about this product, how can I use psychology and probability still to get in my favor, right? Because at the end of the day,
hard to sell items.
Right. For you to sell anything, it has to be the customer's idea. So if that's the case, work on your skill set of how do I make that happen, even if it's not like a product that I'm not super gung ho about, right? Or it's. So I like to put myself in more difficult situations.
Let's take a vote. Let's take a vote. Dog Pound. How many people in the Dog Pound believe Elise would have made a killer F&I manager?
I think that I think Elise would have been an amazing cradle to grave.
She would hated it. That's why she wouldn't have done well. Not because she couldn't. She would have hated it.
Why would she hate it?
Because F&I, getting past learning what the product is, how to sell it, and how to present it, and then courting those relationships is very repetitive. And Elise enjoys data and analyzing things, but repetition doesn't make her smile. And being backboxed in a room by herself and not being with people all the time, she's in her element when she's teaching something to a group of people or around people.
Okay, well, Bobbie,
I think she could have handled it as
Bobbie's
a
saying,
salesperson and finance manager combo because it would have broke it up for her.
what Bobbie's saying basically, Shaka, is that you're boring.
I want to ask before we run out of time, because I've been dying to ask you this question.
No. You didn't ask me if she'd be a good trainer.
She's saying I'm boring too.
Finance manager. And look, I love finance. I did it for years and years. I still do it sometimes. I love it. I think it's a great position, but it's selling an intangible, being held accountable for KPIs that you cannot always touch. And if you're the finance manager at a store, which is what she would have been doing, it would have been in a back room without a voice or any improvement, and she doesn't thrive in an isolated environment.
Well, and that goes back to how Max started it.
Pieces of paper.
Putting the right people in the chair. But I got to ask this question before before it's the end of the show, because I've been dying, and it's a totally an instigator question. Here's the thing, right? As an operator, we're talking a lot about how to be good at selling finance and managing compliance. But I think for me, the number one most frustrating thing is my freaking contracts in transit. How can I get this department that is so good at selling to make sure that my money is not tied up for 2 damn weeks? Oh,
you tie it to their pay plan, and then you install e-contracting. Consequence reward. We couldn't have CITs by 7 days.
I was going to say, hold on though. I've been, and somebody, I have never, and I never understood this. Your CIT, if you have a primary deal, your CIT should not take longer than 72 hours to get funded. If you have a subprime deal, it should be 96 hours. You get all the things you need up front. You send a clean package in order to the bank. You make sure that they scan it in, and you stay on top of it. There is no excuse for a CIT to run 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 days. If it goes out that far, go get my car back.
There's a couple, but not very many. I mean,
let me talk about some. I invented something 25 years ago that is still relevant today. A finance packet. I was so pissed off. I went to I got manila envelopes, and I printed all the steps on one side of it and all the addresses and relatives on the other side. And when you get a document, put it in the envelope and check it off on the outside of the envelope. My most Neanderthal salesperson could understand that.
They can figure it out.
They can figure it out. Check
sometimes.
it off as you drop it in the big envelope.
Most of the times,
guys, we have. I could do this show again.
I know.
And Shaka, how'd you like being on the show for a cameo guest appearance?
It's pretty cool, man.
We appreciate you, Shaka.
Yeah, of course.
Your dog in the pound. Who do you want to adopt?
Your lighting's good. Your head is barely reflecting.
Oh, I heard that. No, good group of people, man. Max, I'm sorry I don't know who you are, man, but you seem like a good cat, man, and it's good to meet you via this. I didn't even know, Jim, that you did a show, but you do it from 2 to 3 every day or something.
Every Tuesday.
Oh, every Tuesday. Got you. Yeah,
every
man.
Every Tuesday, 2 to 3 Eastern time.
I'm happy to jump on this thing, man. Max, are you like an agent that provides products? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I do products and reinsurance and compliance.
Okay, you do products and reinsurance. All right, excellent.
And he's got a bomb ass high mileage warranty. You should take a look at that. We all looked at it and liked it. We're
all right. When you said F&I managers are prima donnas, you were kidding, right?
Shaka's like rubbing his arm. He's got like the muscle arm. He's like, I know you're.
Yeah, he's like, I know you weren't talking shit.
Listen, guys, I'm going to have to end it. I got to bring. Hey, man, we've been on 1 hour and 7 minutes. We are way over time. I love you guys, but hey, have a great digital dealer, guys. And I'm talking to Elise. I'm talking to Bobbie, Max.
I'll see you ladies on Thursday.
I'll check you guys later, man.
Thank you,
Okay,
Shaka. See you.
get out of here, Shaka. Take care.
Hey, listen,
Okay, everybody.
if anybody
Guest
needs
appearance
us to
with
look
Shaka
something,
Dyson. And I am absolutely, this show turned out so much better than I was thinking it was going to. So
that was fun.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, next Tuesday, Dog Pound, we're back.
See you
We're
again.
back on. See everybody next week.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
See ya.